This is the All-State Saturday Kickoff.
And welcome to All-State Saturday Kickoff on ESPN. Beautiful Fort Worth, Texas, home of the TCU Horned Frogs, and a pair of undefeated programs getting set to tangle as number 20 Texas Christian gets set to battle arch rival SMU. What's the battle for the Iron Skillets? A long-running tradition here in the Metroplex. TCU leads the overall series by a commanding margin. SMU's last win coming all the way back in 2011, and TCU winning each of the last 5 matchups. Well, it's great to have you with us on a beautiful Saturday for college football here in Fort Worth, Texas, alongside of Tom Ramsey, former UCLA standout. I am Roy Philpott, and Tom, two rivals, both undefeated coming into this ball game. We got a good one.
Well, it's a good game. Crosstown rival, too. Not a lot of difference between Dallas and Fort Worth, we have found out. There's some recruiting battles going on, but when you look at today's game, Roy, something has to give. SMU is scoring over 50 points a game, averaging 56, and of course TCU's defense only allows 3.5 points a game. So something has to give. Gary Patterson has a great defense, but he also has a really good quarterback at the helm. Kenny Hill had 452 yards in the game against SMU last year, and he's also coming in throwing at a 72% clip.
He's done a much better job this season. Meanwhile, for SMU, Cortland Sutton could be a first-round draft pick next May.
Without question. How do you beat a great defense? Well, you have to have a great weapon. And Cortland Sutton, one of the best receivers in the country, he has all the tools. He can go high up, high point the ball. He can go deep. He can have run after catch. He can do everything that you look for in a receiver. And I agree with you. I think the Bill Belichick's of the world is already circling for number 16 going, I got to get that guy.
Temperatures in the lower 90s, sunny conditions, a little bit of a breeze, and what they're calling a whiteout here inside of Amon G. Carter Stadium. Chad Morris, head coach for the Mustangs in year number 3, the former offensive play caller at Clemson. Recruited Deshaun Watson to Tiger Town and trying to rebuild this program from the ground up as we are underway, and the opening kick reaches the end zone. After TCU won the coin toss, they elected to defer, and SMU with possession. Now the Ponies offense, one of just 3 schools in the country averaging over 50 points per game coming into this one in week number 3, and meanwhile TCU has yet to yield the touchdown with the exception of the one score against Arkansas last week on the road. And that may be, Tom, when you think about it, one of the most impressive wins by a Power 5 school this year on the road last week against the Razorbacks.
It really, they had Arkansas on their heels the entire game. And in fact, when Arkansas did score, it was outside the red zone. So TCU has not given up a red zone score all year.
First down for Ben Hicks, the redshirt sophomore from just down the road in Waco, Texas. SMU loves to go tempo. They'll do it early and often. And the toss. West outside, make that Xavier Jones crossing the 35 and a flag on the field. Matt Boson credited with a stop.
Personal foul, walking below the waist. Offense, number 22. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, and Roy, out on the perimeter, they ended up having an illegal block, so that's going to set SMU back. One of the receivers came down, and you just can't cut below the hip area, and might be able to see it on the left part of the screen.
Myron Galliard, I believe, ruled for the infraction. I'm not sure if that wasn't clean or not.
Well, I think Galliard's, that looked legal all the way, but I think it was something maybe outside our camera view that took place on the perimeter.
It'll back him up after a nice gain on first down, just underway in Fort Worth. Empty backfield now for Hicks. With time, and he'll spot Jones in the flats. They'll get some of that penalty yardage back. It'll bring up second down. Now Xavier Jones, 5'10", 203 from Spring, Texas. Hicks, the quarterback. He lost 15 pounds of bad weight going back to last year, Tom. He slimmed down. He was impressive when we watched SMU go through their walkthrough on Thursday.
And SMU in an empty formation. Pretty interesting. Put a little pressure on TCU's defense.
They need 17 on second down. They'll take the underneath route. Trey Quinn's got it. The LSU transfer bullies his way ahead to the 39 for a gain of 11 and tackled by Nico Small. Well, they really like Quinn, especially if TCU chooses to double team Cortland Sutton.
Well, and that's a nice play, a crossing route. It gets you, it gets you a third and very manageable 3rd and 1. So that becomes a huge play to Quinn that time.
Bunch formation, and here comes the Wildcat. K'Mon Freeman checking in for the first time, 13 in red, and he'll call his own number. And he's got the first down. So they go bunch to the top of your screen and then rotate Freeman a 13 back in a quarterback in a Wildcat formation.
I think it's a great look. And so one of the things that irritates Gary Patterson's defense is the shifts, the motions, and they get to the Wildcat formation out of a conventional kind of a bunch look, but it was a great shift prior to the snap. Really smart play, first down SMU.
Opening possession of the game. We'll run the flea flicker. Hicks with time. Open is Quinn at the 20-yard line, and he's going to score. Some trickeration from Chad Morris, and SMU on the board.
Well, we thought we might be calling Trey Quinn's name a little bit today because of all the attention Cortland Sutton,
Sideline warning.
SMU's great receiver, attracts, but right there, you know you're pulling all the tricks out when you do a little flea flicker. What again, great play call and a great place on the field to call such a play. Looks like run. All of a sudden, the pitch back to Ben Hicks. He throws a dart to Trey Quinn right in stride, beating Nico Small for the score.
A perfect start for Ben Hicks, 3 for 3. That scoring strike coming from 58 yards out. And Josh Williams on for the extra point. And it's no good. He missed it right. On what otherwise is a picture-perfect start for the Ponies. An extra point is pushed wide right by Williams. A 75-yard drive in just 4 plays. How about that?
Well, and I think that's what Gary Patterson was a little concerned about is Chad Morris and his offense coming out, dialing some interesting plays up, and he got just that. He got Wildcat first series, and he got a flea flicker.
This was a major concern for Gary Patterson this week. His team went on the road back in 2005, upset a top 10 Oklahoma program, then lost the next week against SMU. His motto in practice, remember what happened back then. Do not let it happen this go around. Chad Morris and Ben Hicks with other intentions.
And the TCU defense is predicated on pre-snap keys. So they're looking into the backfield. They're looking at numbers, who's in the backfield. Hicks is at quarterback. You got a running back. He hands off. You'd expect them to run the ball right then. Every tendency, every report, scouting report tells them so. But then to come out, pitch it back, and then for Hicks to hit Quinn right in stride. What a great play.
Olanalua and Cavante Turpin back deep to receive this SMU kickoff. Chad Morris told us this week it was important to stay away from Turpin on these kick returns, and Olanalua bullies his way across the 30, a late flag on the field after a return of 23 yards. An American Athletic Conference officiating crew.
Chop block, number 27 on the receiving team. After the goal, first down.
Garrett Kaufman, a linebacker, the guilty party. So TCU with poor field position, rather, after the chop block. Well, we thought SMU was going to be aggressive. We wondered if TCU mentally was going to be ready after really taking out Arkansas last week. And let's see the response now from senior quarterback Kenny Hill, who's saying all the right things, Tom, and he's gotten off to a good start here.
And I really like how Kenny Hill's playing, Roy. I think more importantly, he has that veteran leadership, so he doesn't have to, be a rah-rah guy. He just has to be a consistent guy and continue to get first downs.
Kyle Hicks in the backfield, flanking Hill to his left. And he'll get the handoff. The C's parted. Kyle Hicks off to the races. Near side and ushered out of bounds in plus territory by Mikhail Onu, a gain of 42 yards.
I just don't know how that happens. I don't know how you spring a run right up the middle on the first down, because you have a middle linebacker. Anthony Roan, where you at? Oh, he gets just blocked. Of course, the center comes out. Patrick Morris having a nice year, puts a hat right on the middle linebacker, knocks him out of the way. Nice gain.
Darius Anderson gets the handoff on first down as TCU goes tempo, and a quality pickup as Anthony Roan makes the hit.
Well, and one thing we notice when you look at the tail of the tape, TCU has a very large offensive line. They outweigh the SMU front.
By an average of 56 pounds, there goes Kenny Hill showing some athleticism. And the Texas A&M transfer gained 17 yards on the keeper.
You think they found something up the middle? Possibly. Those two guards, Matt Pryor, Patrick Morris, the center, just working their magic, but pushing people out of the way.
Play action this time for Hill, looking towards the end zone, fires a dart, and it's incomplete. In coverage, Eric Sutton, and some late laundry. Jalen Austin, the intended target.
Defense, number 1. 10-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Eric Sutton, number 1 in red, replacing Christian Davis, who's out with an ankle injury. And Sutton, just a sophomore, only 5'10", $170.
Yeah, and he got called for the hold, just grabbed some jersey, and you know, the referee, the back judge sees that one every time and gives TCU a first down at the 19-yard line.
Kyle Hicks back in, as is Cole Hunt, the tight end, number 81 in white, joining Kenny Hill. And a fast-moving drive for TCU. Punishing run by Hicks inside the 10. Will be ruled down there. It'll bring up 2nd and 5. Justin Lawler with the hit.
Again, right now, TCU already using really their advantage, the size advantage up front. I mean, they outweigh the defensive linemen, 40, 50 pounds each, so they have some beef up front.
Hicks the lone back. Jet sweep. Far side towards the pylon. And he got there. Kennedy Snell checking in. His first career touch reached pay dirt. That one does as well. A talented freshman. Just 5'8", 170 pounds, and TCU responds on its first possession.
Nice response indeed, and Snell, they like him a lot. His speed and quickness, and right there on the jet sweep, gets around end, gets to the pylon, ball's in, touchdown TCU.
Now the Horned Frogs have now scored on their opening possession in all 3 ball games this year. Extra point by Jonathan Song is true. 88 yards in just 5 plays in less than 2 minutes. This may be a shootout.
That's a great point, Roy. Just, being productive on that first series just means so much for a team.
Now the Ponies striking first on the flea flicker to Trey Quinn. The LSU transfer from 58 yards out. Horned Frogs battle back. An 88-yard drive in just 5 plays. It's 2 scores, one by each side. 7-6 lead for 20th ranked TCU. Sun-splashed afternoon here in the Metroplex. Kennedy Snell getting some love, riding the bike. 3 straight games TCU has scored on its opening possession. As Kevin Johnson will take it from his 5. Spins his way ahead to the 23-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Ponies. It's an 18-yard return, and let's see what Chad Morris has up his sleeve here for the second possession of this one, Tom.
Well, I like the play call sheet coming out the gate for sure for the Mustangs. They have not been 3-0 when you think about it since 1984.
It's a long time ago.
And the Pony Express was 1983. So Eric Dickerson, Craig James, 2 great running backs in the same backfield. Ron Meyer was the head coach. SMU was on a roll back then, but they really fell off a couple years prior to Chad Morris getting here. June Jones went 1-11, and they said, we got to make a change, and in came Chad Morris from Clemson.
And Morris, sensing something he didn't like on offense, calls a timeout.
Timeout, SMU.
We saw the numbers on Hicks, the completion percentage. Probably lower than what Chad Morris would like thus far, but he's experienced some drops in the first 2 ball games, and this offense, Tom, is going to take a lot of shots knowing Morris's background.
Yeah, and I think good coaches and good quarterbacks, Roy, sometimes they can ignore whether you have a super high pass percentage or not, because sometimes you're going to ground the ball, you're going to throw it out of bounds, you're going to make plays to save your offense field position. And a down in the big picture is not important. So I don't put a lot of credence into those type of stats, but it's really getting first downs for the quarterback.
Quick pitch, and the catch made by Quinn is third thus far. Shoved out of bounds by Julius Lewis.
Well, and one of the reasons they like Ben Higgs is because he knows where to go with the ball. And if big number 16 is getting double covered, they have to go other places, and there's a lot of weapons on this Mustangs offense to go to.
Crowded backfield. Deep handoff goes to Jones. A little shake and bake on second down. He'll pick up a yard. Traven Howard, first team all Big 12 linebacker, brought him to the turf. And a big third down coming up for the Mustangs.
Traven Howard has led the team each year in tackles. When you look at his numbers, 2015 he had 105 tackles. Last year, 130 total tackles. He is the playmaker on that defense.
West and Freeman in the backfield. That's Freeman in motion. The wheel route, and it's wide open, and West has some real estate into plus territory and shoved out of bounds by Nick Orr. That's a gain of 30.
Nice play concept again by SMU, and they really, Hicks gets the ball out quick to West, and it's just a really nice play design.
Hicks 5 for 5 to start this one in the battle for the Iron Skillet. Braden West back in, number 6 in red. And Quinn with a throwback. West is open again, so Trey Quinn has already caught a touchdown. And nearly throws for one here. It'll be first and goal for SMU. And some more flags, this time against the Horned Frogs defense.
Yeah, I believe they're going to get a roughing call, and it possibly a face mask also.
Personal foul, defense, number 19, unnecessary roughness. Half this is the goal. First down.
Yeah, Montrell Wilson, number 19, middle linebacker. He's going to get flagged. He looked a little bit frustrated at the end of that play, and it's because they run flea flicker. You usually see this on Thanksgiving Day at the park. Boy, this time Trey Quinn spinning it down the field to Braden West. That is a great play.
SMU not holding anything back. Freeman, the Wildcat. Now, the last time the Mustangs beat TCU was 2011. The time before that in 2005. Wildcat was very popular. You don't see a lot of it these days, but SMU utilizing it here.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've seen it. We'll see it today for both teams. TCU runs it as well. The numbers in the red zone have been terrific for SMU. They don't miss when they're down there, and really it's because of play design by that man, Chad Morris.
They'll go Wildcat again, straight ahead with real estate, and the touchdown for Freeman. 2 possessions, 2 scores for underdog SMU. And they've made it look easy.
Well, and I wrote some notes down, Roy. How you beat TCU? Just my own notes, but when I look at film, and I do watch a lot of film, how do you keep TCU's defense back on their heels, right? Misdirection, boot waggle, reverse, crossing routes, and option routes to guys like Trey Quinn. So they've gotten the ball outside to other guys other than Cortland Sutton today.
Well, this time Josh Williams' extra point is true. And our new score, 8:21 remaining in the first quarter. Hold on to your hats. SMU leads it by 6.
The All-State Saturday Kickoff is presented by Allstate, official protector of college football fans, and in part by Cabela's. Get to Cabela's for all your hunting, fishing, and camping needs. Cabela's, it's in your nature.
Well, Gary Patterson really not thrilled with that last possession by SMU's offense. He gave Montrell Wilson an earful. We talked with him yesterday, and he said, you know what, Roy and Tom, I'm not a good front runner. I'm always going to be the underdog in my mind. And I said, well, Coach, the trick is to get your team to adopt that same mentality. He said, you're right. And so far, I don't know that they've done that with Oklahoma State, the Big 12 opener coming up next week.
Yeah, each coach really gave us quite a bit of information. And Gary Patterson, I love that quote as well. Think about it. He's the number 2 tenured coach in the country.
Only Kirk Ferentz in Iowa has been at a school longer, 19 years with the Hawkeyes. Gary Patterson in year number 17 in Fort Worth. Charlie Reed with the catch, the up back for the Horned Frogs. He's got some work to do now. Gary Patterson back to the drawing board. And you know, SMU is going with this quick tempo offense. Does not give him a lot of time to make adjustments on the fly as the defensive play caller.
Yeah, you know what I like about Gary Patterson, Roy? He's a resilient guy, right? He's won 6 conference championships, but they're across different conferences. Conference USA, Mountain West, Big 12. I mean, they've had to reinvent themselves several times, and right now he may have one of his best teams.
It was Turpin in motion. Hill sensing the backside pressure, and down he goes. The sack by Tayson Niels, and Niels brought him down for a loss of big yardage.
Well, Niels just didn't give up. He just kept working and trying to get around his man, which he eventually did, and put the sack on Kenny Hill.
That's a loss of 6 on first down. Van Malone, the defensive play caller for SMU. And we had to be aggressive this week. Let's see what he dials up here. And a pass quickly out of bounds is Emmanuel Porter. He'll get some of that sack yardage back. The first completion for Kenny Hill.
Well, Emmanuel Porter out of Dallas Lincoln High School, 6'4", 210. They doubled to the opposite side. He just came back to the single covered man there, and Porter, nice gain along the sideline.
3rd and a long 6. TCU needs to make it to the 40-yard line. Hill across the middle, spots Hicks. Kyle Hicks caught 47 passes a year ago to lead the Horned Frogs. Quick pitch and catch here, and that'll move the chains.
Well, and Hicks is really an interesting guy. Not only is he a good runner, he's a good pass catcher out of the backfield as well, as evidenced.
And this time nowhere to run. SMU bottling up the middle of the line. Anthony Roan with the hit, and no gain on the play. The numbers with Hicks, he has been so impressive. One of just 2 players a year ago to lead his team in passes caught and also rushing yards. He rushed for over 1,000 yards a year ago, Tom. Very elusive and electric. So Hicks steps out. Turpin sets up at the top of the screen. And the tunnel screen. Off to the races goes Rager. First down and then some. Pushes his way ahead to the 31-yard line, and it's a gain of 31. And the Horned Frogs, like the Mustangs, doing what they want on offense.
Well, Jalen Rager not only catches the quick little tunnel screen, he ends up running it over the umpire as well. Wow.
Swing pass. Turpin in and out of his hands. That was close to a backwards pass. And that could be a live football. Anthony Rowe makes a cut, brings it all the way back to the 12-yard line. And on the field, the ruling is that was a backwards pass. SMU football.
Yeah, they tried to swing the ball out, and Kenny Hill knew where it was. They end up swinging the ball, and if you throw it as a lateral, you can block downfield, which is exactly what they did there. In fact, Kyron Mitchell, 11, just really wrecks the play for TCU, but credit Kenny Hill. Boy, he chases down Anthony Roan, but a great heads-up play that time by the middle linebacker, SMU.
So on a play like this, Gary Brown, our Big 12 replay official, will take a second look at it. And by now you've heard it's got to be indisputable video evidence to overturn the play, and clearly the ball went backwards towards Cavante Turpin, and it'll be first down Mustangs. What a start for the team out of the AAC, the American Conference, SMU. Hicks will toss it down the field towards the end zone and incomplete. Myron Galliard, the intended receiver. Traven Howard was in coverage. And he almost made a sensational one-handed grab.
Yeah, Galliard, Ben Hicks throws it in a great spot, back of the end zone. Give your guy a chance, no one else. Off Gilliard's hands at the back of the end zone. And again, Cortland Sutton, their number one threat, double teamed.
Couple of stutter steps in the backfield by Braden West. Hauled down by Matt Boson. And also Montrell Wilson. Mustangs are perfect on third down so far.
Yep, 2 for 2 on third down before this play. And now we say it's the money down. I think you'd like to go outside, possibly. Trey Quinn closest to our camera in the near ground here.
They'll fake the handoff to Freeman towards the end zone and incomplete. They tried the quick hitter to Braden West. And nothing doing. Outstanding coverage that time by Nick Orr, one of the best in the Big 12.
Nick Orr was stride for stride with Braden West. I don't know if they ever had an opening to even put the ball, but Nick Orr is just a heads-up defensive player. Pound for pound, their best athlete on their entire team.
Josh Williams on to attempt a 29-yard field goal. This one from the left hash. Shanked an extra point moments ago. Snap, hold, and the kick is good. Well, this frog and pony show, the advantage to the Mustangs. They lead it 16-7 for head coach Chad Morris. ESPN app is a fan's best friend this season. You can stream every ESPN and ABC college football contest at home or on the go. Access to scores, news, and highlights. It's all season long. Download the ESPN app to start streaming today. And certainly, those TCU fans in whiteout conditions here in Fort Worth doing that as we speak.
It's usually cold during a whiteout. It's a little warm during this whiteout today, I'd say.
Very warm. Another pooch kick to stay away from Cavante Turpin. The up back grabs it near side and ushered out, crossing the 36-yard line. Well, TCU scored on its opening possession, turned it over on its second possession, and we'll see what Sonny Crumby, the offensive play caller for the Horned Frogs, will dial up here against this SMU defense.
Well, and Sonny Montgomery, he really has a good feel for this offense. He's been here 4 years now, and the second year, really the third year in working with Kenny Hill, because he redshirted that first year coming over from A&M, but Kenny Hill really started to get on a high trajectory last year, Roy, and I think he's taken off right where he left off from last year.
Hicks gets the handoff and negotiates his way across the 40. Big gain of about 5 on first down, brought down by Onu.
And one of the things I say about Kenny Hill, when you watch him on film, and I told Kenny Hill before the game, I said, hey, man, you're spinning it really good. The ball's coming out quick. He said, hey, thanks, man. It's important. A quarterback wants the ball to come out quick, and what it tells me as a former player, he knows what he's seeing in the defense. He's not second-guessing himself, so he can anticipate the throws.
4 touches, 50 yards for Hicks. He'll tack on to that number here. Crossing midfield, drive continues for the Horned Frogs.
Boy, Hicks had a nice game a week ago at Arkansas, and then he and the combination of Darius Anderson, the other back, they do such a great job of spelling one another, and I just thought they blocked so well at the line of scrimmage last week, really allowed their running backs to have a grand day.
And we've already seen a couple of massive upsets across college football this afternoon. Confusion on the attempted handoff as Hill is stacked up and driven backwards. Tom Memphis defeated UCLA just moments ago, 48-45. Northern Illinois beat Nebraska on the road as well, so the group of five has already been very pesky on this Saturday afternoon. We'll see if SMU can duplicate some of their successes.
Group of five has been tough, and a lot of good games across the scoreboard all day today, and I think a lot of impact not only on a national level, but you look at all the ratings that the teams are getting and the polls as well. TCU, of course, I think they're a little low at 20.
Turpin with a grab. That'll bring up third down.
But I'm also a believer, Mr. Philpott, in that as you're the champion, as Clemson was last year, you stay number one until someone knocks you off.
Tigers right down number 3. They'll get Louisville tonight on the road, and a lot of people have the orange and white on upset alert. Alana Lua checks in for the second time today. 33 and white, known as the Hammer, and they'll go play action. Hill fires a strike, and it's caught. Dylan Thomas will move the chains.
Well, that's just a great throw. Again, the ball comes out really quick from Kenny Hill. Little play action into the line of scrimmage, and then Dylan Thomas really working his man towards the sidelines, but just gives Hill a nice area to throw to, and they're able to move the chains once again.
And the Horned Frogs so efficient on third down this year. 68% of the time they're converting. That's third in the country. And Thomas loses control out of bounds. It'll pick up about 4.5 on the play.
Yeah, just a quick little throw hitch near sideline.
The ball be brought back to the spot of the fumble. Second down.
Or actually into the short sideline. And Kenny Hill, again, the ball just comes out super quick.
Well, we talked with Gary Patterson this week. His one kind of mantra in dealing with Kenny Hill, got to be able to deal with adversity better this year. He led the Big 12 in interceptions last season. So when the wheels came off, they stayed off as Thompson loses control. You wonder about the early turnover on the backwards pass, if that kind of creeps back into his thoughts after 2 outstanding performances in 2 wins so far this year.
Well, he has to be careful because he's really the face of the offense, right? And so you're going to get a lot of notoriety. Guys, you're a leader whether you like it or not. So a lot of guys are looking at him, and they just want to make sure that he doesn't drop his head if he misses a pass or two or fumbles once or throws an interception. You got to be the guy leading the offense the entire game.
Horned Frogs need 8 on third down. Hill with time and rifles a pass that's incomplete, and it's broken up by Onu. Thomas, the intended receiver, and Onu just swiped it away.
Well, Thomas dropped the ball 3 plays in a row. He fumbled out of bounds, and then he dropped the last 2 balls thrown to him. Kenny Hill with a nice throw over the middle, and Thomas just gets jarred and the ball comes out.
And a long field goal attempt coming up for the Horned Frogs. A 50-yarder, the first attempt of the season by Jonathan Song. Had plenty of leg, but pushed
First
it.
Charged. Timeout. TCU.
Right after the timeout was called by Gary Patterson. Well, still, even if this field goal is true, Tom, you got to think this is a win for the SMU defense. We'll step aside. Field goal coming up from 50 yards out. Now TCU about ready to attempt its first field goal of the season. Poured in 63 in the win against Jackson State. 28 on the road at Arkansas in the win 1 week ago. It'll be Song's first career attempt. And no pressure on the 50-yarder. And he lost the snap. Picked up by the Mustangs. And another mistake by Texas Christian. Kyron Mitchell probably had a chance to take that one to the house, and instead it'll be 1st and 10 for the Mustangs. Second turnover now for the Horned Frogs.
Well, and the holder, Adam Nunez, the ball just squirts right through his hands, so Song still doesn't have a field goal attempt. And you're right, it was a daunting 50-yarder, but it just hits Nunez in the hands, scoots up his arm, and again, SMU playing opportunistic football. They've made the plays in the first quarter, and they have the lead to show for it.
So a mistake by Nunez. Ponies with outstanding field position from their own 48. 16 points on the board, and yet to see Cortland Sutton bring in a pass. Incompletion to the tight end, Raymond Epps, transfer from Arizona State. Tight ends at SMU have yet to catch a ball this year. So an interesting call there to bring up 2nd and 10.
Well, again, SMU doing a lot of disguise and deception, keeping the ball, kind of moving away from Cortland Sutton. Number 16, their big play threat. You think about Sutton, 10 catches on the year, 5 of them have gone for touchdowns. The TCU defense knows where he's at all the time.
Yeah, help over the top, the mantra for Gary Patterson's club this week. Hicks has missed 3 in a row, connects here. That'll move the chains. A dump off to Prochet as Julius Lewis hauled him out of bounds.
And Roy, on that particular play, that's the first time this game they've actually singled up Sutton. So he was one-on-one, and I'm sure they know that. They'll relay that down. The coaches in the box will send that down to the sideline, but now he's on the far side of the field. He's probably going to get doubled again, so they'll work strong and to the field side.
Freeman, the back, stays alive and carries defenders past the 35-yard line. He made something out of nothing. Nick Orr missed him in the backfield time.
Boy, you can't miss these guys. You know, Chad Morris is doing something special. When you score 56 points a game, on average coming in, they're one of 3 teams in the country to score 50-plus in the first 2 games. You have the artillery and you have the play calling ability to just keep the defense on guard. And Gary Patterson, as good as he is calling defenses, he's mystified right now. After
a gain of 7, Freeman with a hot hand, tripped up. He'll pick up a yard. Isahaku wrestled him down that time.
And Roy, what you're in here, you're at 2 downs for the first down. So I expect them, they might even take a timeout here and talk about it.
Well, the end of the first quarter quickly approaching. And what a first 15 minutes it was for SMU. Nearly 3 touchdown underdogs on the road against an arch rival and a top 20 TCU team. The Mustangs lead it 16-7. Some early trickeration. Trey Quinn with the honors on the first touchdown reception of the day. Gary Patterson not pleased. A 9-point deficit after the first. Third down, back in Fort Worth. Start of our second quarter. SMU leads it by 9 at 20th ranked TCU. Hicks wants it off, throws it deep. And a dangerous toss is incomplete. Looking for Quinn. Tejada, the best cover corner, had him blanketed.
Well, Tejada had Ryan Quinn locked up, and again, a lot of misdirection in the backfield. They're trying to disguise what they're doing. Really, it was just an up route that time to Trey Quinn. Ben Hicks, a lot of machinations leading up to that throw, but Tejada was the guy that covered him.
SMU this season perfect on 4th down, and they'll go for it here, and they need 3. Hicks, and that'll move the chains once again. He found his favorite target, Trey Quinn, the LSU transfer. Nick Orr a bit late on that quick hitch.
Well, Quinn just gives you such a steady target, you know, and again, he played a lot at LSU early in his career, transferred out, and he's just a steady guy. Ben Hicks really likes him.
Quinn already 4 grabs for 84 yards. Xavier Jones, a shoulder injury, missed most of last season, a redshirt sophomore, now healthy. Scored 10 touchdowns his first campaign 2 years ago, and a viable threat for the Mustangs this year.
Well, and Roy, we have not seen Cortland Sutton even targeted today. He's in the slot with far side, but he hasn't even received a sniff from Ben Hicks.
He's got 27 straight games with a catch. So far, nada. Handoff West. Makes a move. Has a first down and tripped up, crossing the 20 into the red zone. Julius Lewis with a shoestring stop. It's a gain of 8 yards. This SMU offense awfully impressive.
Well, again, they're moving. It's a moving target, right? They're just doing really good ball action, and they're doing nothing that they've done in past games.
Here's West straight ahead. Brought down at the 11-yard line by Matt Boson. SMU doing what it wants on offense. Joe Craddock, the play caller, took over those duties from Chad Morris some 2 years ago, and he's made the most of his opportunity. Was a graduate assistant at Clemson, came over with Chad from the upstate of South Carolina, and he is off to a fast start this year. 50 points in the first 2 games, already 16 today. 10th play of the drive coming up. And Hicks brought down to the backfield. He'll lose yardage.
Well, Matt Boson came off the edge that time, really made a nice play. I thought Hicks should have given the ball away to the... Thought he should have... Oh, that was... Oh, yeah. Bangagoo. Big Ben Banagoo came off the edge. I saw Boson and Banagoo right in the backfield together. Banagoo is a monster.
3rd down, and the crowd comes to life. Hicks with time towards the end zone, and the pass will sail out of bounds. He's looking for Cortland Sutton, so the first time today we've called his name. He was in the area, but the pass really had no chance of being caught.
Well, and I'm happy. Finally got a target, but here's the time when you can throw. It's not really a 50-50 ball, but again, he gets doubled, and Tejada is with him stride for stride. Tejada plays against a lot of big receivers in the Big 12, so it's a nice warm-up to have a guy like Cortland Sutton to go mano-a-mano with. The ball just out of his reach, though, that time.
So a 34-yard attempt off the foot of Josh Williams, and between the pipes, second field goal of the afternoon as SMU extends its lead. 19-7, 12-10 remaining here in our first half. Championship implications on the line tonight. Number 3 Clemson travels to Louisville. 14th ranked Cardinals trying to hold serve at home. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific over on ABC. Streaming live on the ESPN app. Lamar Jackson, by now he won the Heisman Trophy last year, going against a Clemson defense that has yet to give up a touchdown this season. And oh, by the way, all 3 games between these 2 teams the last 3 years decided on the final possession. More fireworks up at Papa John Stadium tonight, likely.
Well, and you look back at last year's game, Roy, Louisville and Clemson, and the game really is decided by 1 yard. 1 yard. Of course, Clemson's defense knocking the Louisville back out of bounds, and it really meant everything.
Good day for the American Athletic Conference so far. Chris Cotter back in the studio has more. Chris, thank you very much. And back here in Fort Worth, SMU out of the same American Conference, stunning Texas Christian thus far. And I hate to hear that about your precious UCLA Bruins, my friend.
UCLA's defense hadn't shown up this year. Just hadn't shown up. Josh Rosen, another big game, but you got to stop somebody.
Mustangs showing pressure. Kevin Johnson advanced towards the line.
Delay game, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And how will Kenny Hill handle this early adversity? Last 2 possessions, 2 turnovers, and Gary Patterson can feel the pressure mounting in this rivalry game. SMU hasn't won the Iron Skillet since 2011.
Yeah, Kenny Hill 6 for 8 passing, but really a mistake on the lateral that caused the fumble that last series of downs for him.
Hicks carrying defenders across the 30. And a gain of 8, call it 9 yards, finally lassoed by Nick Horton.
Well, and you mentioned it earlier, but this is where the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, Sonny Crumby, wants Kenny Hill to be the stable force in this offense. Don't get rattled if you're just a few points behind. They're, less than 2 scores behind. And they've been driving the ball. I think it's getting back to what they do best right now. It's Kyle Hicks right up the middle.
Mitchell with a tackle, but not before he moved the chains. Hicks already 79 yards on the ground, not even at halftime.
Just a guard around there. They're able to get hats on the middle linebacker and the tackles, and TCU doing a good job up front.
This time stood up by Jordan Williams. He'll lose yards. Well, SMU defensive coordinator Van Malone's got to be aggressive. There's a size difference between this offensive line for TCU and SMU's front 4 by an average of 56 pounds. Hill with time and missed an open receiver. Sean Nixon was 10 yards behind SMU's last line of defense and would have easily scored.
And I thought his feet got tangled up just a little bit, and so he couldn't get the leverage into the throw that he wanted to. And honestly, I didn't look at really where the ball went so much as Kenny Hill's feet just got tangled underneath, and he couldn't step into the throw.
Nixon thinking about 6 points. Instead, it's 3rd and 13. Hill surveys, rifles a shot, it's caught for the first down. Jalen Rager makes the grab, his 2nd this afternoon. Into SMU territory go the Horned Frogs.
Nice play by Jalen Rager, the true freshman whose father, Monte Rager, Texas Tech, former Texas Tech player, defensive lineman, played with the world champion Denver Broncos for a few years.
After a gain of 15, play action, batted down. Kyron Mitchell with 2 hands swatted that one away.
No, I think Kyron Mitchell is the best defensive player for the SMU Mustangs. He does a great job not only tackling, but he's playmaking and coming off the edge here. Free blitzer, gets his hands up though, and is able to knock the ball away from Kenny Hill that time and just disrupt the play once again.
Junior out of Houston, 7th play of the drive for the Horned Frogs. And tripped up is Anderson. He'll fall forward for 2 yards. That'll make it 3rd and 8.
Tripped up by his own man, Kenny Hill that time. His footwork just caught Darius Anderson. Anderson had such a good game last week, rushing over 106 yards against Arkansas, and really was a nice positive for that TCU offense.
Shewo Alanalua checks in. He's been on the field on 3rd down often in this game so far. 3rd team running back, flag on the field as Hill fires another strike. Good enough for the first down, some shake and bake. Turpin with the grab. We'll check the penalty. Tom, that's a gain of 18 yards, and Hill starting to find some rhythm.
Number 40, lined up in the neutral zone. Penalty declined. Resulting play is first down.
Yeah, just an offside call that time. Mixon, the defensive end, he was lined up offsides. I was wondering if they were going to call it. Turpin comes out, nice little out route, and the ball, again, right on time. Kenny Hill with great anticipation that time, gets the ball out. First down, TCU.
They'll fake it to Hicks. Turpin on the tunnel screen. Another nice move into the red zone. And a quality pickup on first down. O'New hauled him to the turf. 2nd and 2 coming up for the Horned Frogs. And a stutter step on 2nd and short. Good enough for the first down. TCU in the red zone, ultra efficient this year. Tom, they've been there 10 times. 9 of those occasions they've scored touchdowns.
Yeah, they have been good. As good as their defense has been, the offense has been equally good.
Remember, TCU had only given up 7 points in 2 games prior to today. And a timeout on the field as we step aside. 19-7, SMU out in front.
The All-State Saturday Kickoff is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. And CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
Now back in Fort Worth on a Sunsplash Saturday afternoon. The flyover during the national anthem. Now just less than an hour ago. Always brings goosebumps. And SMU so far providing all the action on the field. JT Williams helped off the playing surface moments ago and appears to be okay. The senior defensive tackle. First down for the Horned Frogs. And 21 Hicks will dance his way for a yard. Officially no gain on the play. It'll bring up 2nd and 10. Not even halfway through our second quarter. And Hicks bullies his way for a couple.
Well, Hicks will hammer it on in there, which he does right there. He's going to come out, take a blow. And Onalua back in. The big fella from Humble, Texas, who had 2 touchdowns a week ago.
He'll line up in the slot towards the top of the screen. Empty set. Hill taking his time. Needs 7 towards the end zone, and it's caught. Sean Nixon makes the grab. Back from the knee injury, healthy again, and a big play for the men in white.
Well, he was very deliberate that time. Kenny Hill was at the line of scrimmage, and Roy, what he's able to do is survey what the defense is doing and then talk to Sean Nixon, who was lined up in the near slot to the 3 wide receiver side. I think Nixon, I think he's such a good player right there, showing off great hands, making a diving reception for the TD.
Extra point is good. And our new score 19-14. Halfway through the second quarter. SMU will get it back. Goodwin Bruin here in Fort Worth. Back here inside of Amon G. Carter Stadium, campus of Texas Christian University. Sean Nixon, this last season with a knee injury, now healthy. 11-yard scoring strike from Kenny Hill, and that's a big response as SMU has been perfect so far with its offensive possessions. 4 for 4. Now Nixon, an interesting story as well. One of the most selfless players in all of college football. He actually uses his own money to make tacos to feed the homeless here in the Fort Worth area. He's a regular speaker as well in Fort Worth schools. Went to Panama in May to help out underprivileged children. Really a nice story, and the fact that he's healthy again after missing last year, you know this means everything.
Well, he's an exceptional player on the field, maybe a more exceptional person off the field. And that's really what Gary Patterson hopes for all his players. He wants those guys to make an impact in the community.
Braden West, a nifty run. will push it across the 30. Bring up second down for Southern Methodist. You surprised by this start and what we've seen so far?
I'm really not. I was highly anticipating the Chad Morris offense. So I kind of knew, and we got a glimpse at practice the other day, and he was wonderful. He gave us a ton of great material. And he said, listen, we're good this year, which I love when coaches go, we're going to be good. And, you know, they know they're good. They know they're a lot better than they were a year ago, where they won 5 games. And
Hicks on a rope, and laying the wood was Nick Orr. Still good enough for the first down. Galliard brought it in heavy traffic.
Well, Myron Galliard made a catch down the seam between the hash marks. That's as good a catch as you'll see in college football all year long, and he gets cranked by Nick Orr at the end of it, and he jumps up and says, that didn't hurt.
Nick Orr, preseason all Big 12, gave it everything he had, but SMU will pick up 22. And this offense is clicking on all cylinders thus far. West, he'll pick up 2. He'll bring up second down.
And Roy, 22 yards is the magic marker. You can throw it down the middle without getting a guy absolutely decapitated right there. You know, that's at yard 22 right there. I mean, Orr comes and brings the hammer. And you watch college football, watch the NFL on Sundays. That 22-yard marker, a lot of collisions happen at 22 yards.
Mustangs need 8. Jones back in the backfield. He'll float it for Quinn, and he sails it out of bounds. Quinn was open, and it appears as if Ben Hicks just took a massive shot.
Yeah, they came hard on Hicks that time, and he hung on to the ball a long time. He got rolled up pretty good in the offensive backfield there. They're rushing 4. Bosin comes from behind. I think he might just stepped on him.
Mustangs need 8. Hicks will buy some time, fling it out. And that'll bring up 4th down. So for the first time today, the TCU defense will make a stand.
Yeah, that time it pushes SMU to be 2 of 6 on 3rd down. And, you know, coming in, or SMU's offense, 2 of 6 on 3rd down. The TCU defense only allows teams an 18% conversion percentage on 3rd down. So I'm not surprised with the heat they brought that time.
Jamie Sackville will send it end over end. And it takes a Mustangs bounce. And Karem's out of bounds. So everything thus far going in SMU's direction. TCU taking over once again when we come back.
It's the best player in college football. Case closed.
Lamar Jackson lunges and scores. Lamar Jackson, oh my goodness, what a pass.
The kid is ridiculous.
Well, right now, Lamar Jackson, the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy. Again, he'll face a very stiff test tonight in the Clemson defense. You have to give up a touchdown this season. Mixed results, former Heisman winners facing the defending national champions. A rare occurrence. You'll get it tonight, 8 o'clock over on ABC. Straight ahead, Darius Anderson will push forward across the 10.
As good as Lamar Jackson is, I think the voters missed it last year. I had Deshaun Watson as the Heisman winner. He's turned out to be a pretty good player, too, at the next level. Had a nice birthday Thursday night with a Texans win. But Lamar Jackson facing the Clemson defense, look out.
Well, they had 11 sacks a week ago against Auburn. Meanwhile, Jackson's been sacked more than any quarterback in the country going back to last year. Jordan Williams with a stop, but not before TCU gets the first down. It's just a battle of wills tonight up at Louisville with the country watching. Kennedy Snell checking in again for the Horned Frogs. The freshman scored a touchdown earlier, 16 in white. And he'll get the handoff here. The jet sweep. So we check in once again with Chris Connor back in the studio. Chris? Good stuff. Upsets across the board in college football today. It's that time of year. And SMU trying to play that same card here in Fort Worth. Hill floats it out. Pass is caught. Good enough for the first down. Ahead to the 30 goes Desmond White. And a physical run after the grab.
Well, and there's that run-pass option. The RPO play by Sonny Cumbie's offense. And Kenny Hill, the quarterback, running it to perfection. He comes down the line and you have a chance to give, you have a chance to run, or spin it outside to Desmond White, who makes a nice play. Once he has the ball in his hands, he's so good.
Tom, that's a gain of 15 yards. Hill's numbers good so far. Olanalua had nowhere to run, bottled up by Demrick Gary.
Olanalua looks as though he's a defensive end in the NFL. 6'3", about 230 pounds. He had 2 rushing touchdowns last week against Arkansas, both out of the Wildcat formation. One time Kenny Hill's helmet came off, so he had to go in and take the play, and he scored a touchdown. He also caught a ball, but boy, he is a good-looking back.
Olanalua lost 2 on that last play. Under 3 minutes to play in a fast-moving first half. Hill with a pocket and delivers a strike. Kennedy Snell off to the races, far side, and look at that speed. Touchdown, TCU. A 71-yard pitch and catch, and boy, that was pretty.
And I think what was so magnificent about that play was that Kenny Hill progressed all the way across the field. I want to say Snell might have been the 4th or the 5th choice receiver on that play. Kenny Hill surveyed the entire field, came back to Kennedy Snell, and then Snell got shot out of a cannon down the sideline.
2nd touchdown today for the freshman. 3rd of his young career. The first time he touched it this season, he took it to the house. And Jonathan Song on for the extra point. How about 97 yards in 6 plays for the team from the Big 12 trying to hold serve at home, and TCU back out in front for the 2nd time.
Well, Gary Patterson's recruiting really good athletes. One facet they have to have, speed. And right there, Kennedy Snell showing all he has.
Don't forget tonight, 7 Eastern over on ESPN, the first big test for a pair of SEC clubs. Number 12, LSU. That stingy defense will face off with quarterback Nick Fitzgerald, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Game coming to you live from Stark Vegas. You can also catch it streaming live on the ESPN app. And Dan Mullen, you never know. He coached Tim Tebow down at Florida. He finds those quarterbacks. LSU's won its last 8 games in Starkville. We'll see if that can continue tonight.
Nick Fitzgerald might be one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I talk about it, but not a lot of people talk about it because there's a lot of guys to talk about. What I like in this game, the LSU Mississippi State game, I like that LSU defense. You know how much I like Dave Aranda, the defensive coordinator for LSU, and he gets his star player back, Arden Key, probably the best edge rusher in the country.
The crowd back in it here at the Carter. Trey Quinn snuck in there as an up back with some nice running room. Shoved out at the 35. Well, we check what's happening right now with our AT&T Field Pass. And a really neat idea by TCU. Each home game, 300 to 400 local kids, age 12 and under, called the Bleacher Creatures, line up around the Froghorn. They run out just before the TCU team takes the field. Each child gets a free t-shirt. And how about this, Tom? Former TCU standout wide receiver Josh Dotson was actually a Bleacher Creature and last year happened to be a first-round pick of the Washington Redskins. So the staff here in Fort Worth paying it forward of sorts. Our AT&T field pass straight ahead and a short pickup on first down. And now you can feel momentum back with the men in white. Let's see how SMU responds, Tom.
Well, it's going to be a big response for SMU. They really have to put some points on the board. They really got stalled out their last drive, and now being 2 of 6 on third downs in the game, it's going to be incumbent upon them to get conversions and to get points on the board, and really crucial to score before halftime.
Under 2 to play in the first half. Play action for Hicks. He'll float one for Quinn, who makes the catch. Still on his feet as he tiptoes down the sideline. Julius Lewis was burnt in coverage again. This SMU passing attack on fire.
Well, it's interesting, Roy. You know, Ben Hicks is really patient, too, with the ball, and he just reads coverage, and then he knows he has Trey Quinn right along the sideline. It's a safe throw. Get it up high, let him make the play, and he did.
A stutter step in the backfield, and a punishing run. It's brought down by Traven Howard. So after a gain of 33, SMU knocking on the door again, and Trey Quinn, 5 catches, nearly 120 yards. He also threw for a touchdown earlier in this one.
Yeah, SMU with 2 timeouts. And think about it. They've only targeted big Cortland Sutton 1 time, and that was to the end zone several drives ago earlier in this quarter, but they're doing it without him.
Banagoo with the hit. A quick correction. Quinn did not throw the touchdown pass, but came awfully close. It was the flea flicker that Hicks connected with Quinn on that opened the scoring today.
There's a big third down. Cortland Sutton, far side on the line of scrimmage.
They'll line up in the slot. Mustangs need 7. Here comes pressure. Hicks flush. Keeps the play alive. Floats it downfield, wide open. Good enough for the first down. Mitchell Kaufman, the first pass caught by tight end for SMU this year. And it goes for 28 yards on 3rd and long.
Great play extension that time by Ben Hicks. Kept his eyes down the field, broke 2 tackles, and then fired a bullet to Mitchell Kaufman.
Hand off to Freeman. And right through the carnage will pick up 2. Matt Boson with the initial contact.
Timeout. SMU.
Chad Morris will have 1 timeout remaining. How about this play?
Well, I just think when you're able to extend the play like this, he breaks tackle, shakes another one right there. Actually, Banagoo had 2 shots at him, couldn't bring him down. He takes a small shot, but, you know, just keep your eyes down the field. Mitchell Kaufman, credit him, too, for working back towards the middle of the field, really making a nice catch and run.
Now the Bruins struggling on the road as Memphis pulls off the upset. And what a day for Mason Rudolph. Coming up at halftime, we'll have more on that. I just looked at the scoreboard briefly about 2 hours ago. It was 3 minutes remaining in the first half, and Oklahoma State already scored 49 points. So Rudolph, you know that offense is electric. More fireworks today up at Pitt.
Well, and Mason Rudolph is legit, and he's going to give Gary Patterson a lot of headaches because they play each other next week. TCU goes to Stillwater. Big game.
Jones in the backfield. They'll fake the handoff and looking for Sutton. Hicks wants the flag. He will not get it.
Looked as though the ball even might have gotten tipped. It just was so high that time, even out of Sutton's leaping ability. Sutton, 6'4", 218-pounder, 3 targets so far today, and a likely first-round pick. Ball just took off on him.
3rd and goal. Walker in motion for the Mustangs. On the rollout, Hicks back of the end zone and incomplete. He was triple covered. Raymond Epps, the tight end, the intended receiver. It's a Haku. Broke that pass up even if he was not aware.
Well, what do you do when you're the star receiver? You make a log jam because you attract a lot of people. They try to get the ball to Epps, cutting across the field right there. That's the one play Chad Morris wanted back. But he has a chance to get 3 points to finish the half, and that's a positive for SMU.
Williams perfect on his field goal attempts today from 21 yards out. He'll bang that one through. And the Mustangs back out in front here in Fort Worth. And how about this first half for Chad Morris and the SMU Mustangs out of the American? 3 touchdown underdogs on the road. They're not playing like it.
No, they're not playing like an underdog. And, you know, when you have this proximity to each other, you know, the difference between Dallas and Fort Worth, we're told it's very small. Although we did drive it. It's about 30-something miles. But they know each other well. The coaches know each other. They're recruiting some of the same guys. The players know each other. It is a big-time rivalry.
Now, Sage is back in Bristol. Make sure you start your day with her, Randy and Jay. It's weekday, 7 a.m. Eastern on ESPN for the new Sports Center AM. Get you updated on all the latest sports news, late game highlights, everything else going on. A very busy time of year, as you can imagine. And streaming live on the ESPN app if you're on the go. Make sure you download the app today. We're watching a couple of games right before kickoff here. A lot happening. Some upsets. Memphis, UCLA, Northern Illinois on the road at Nebraska. More on that coming up at halftime. And perhaps one in the works here in Fort Worth. Turpin snuck in there. Will grab it far side. Kavontae Turpin. They'll keep it alive just short of the 40, but maybe with 10 seconds remaining, a chance for a shot or two. We take a look at this week's college football playoff rankings brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
Kicking team, number 9. 5-yard penalty to be added to the end of the run. First down.
Clemson, Louisville tonight, as we talked about. Oklahoma State, the big win at Pittsburgh, and they blew them out early. Bama, Colorado State. Any thoughts there this evening down in Tuscaloosa?
Rammies, tough one for the Rams. Yeah, Bama's rolling pretty good right now, although they've had some guys hurt too, you know, and so much of college football is staying healthy. I think SC's going to have a challenge today. Tom Herman and the Longhorns coming to L.A., see how they fare. Should be an interesting game as well.
If you're just tuning in, back and forth we've gone. A couple of lead changes. SMU's offense has been on fire, and Kenny Hill has done a great job his last 2 possessions as well. Snell pushes forward. 3 seconds remaining, and a timeout called by the Horned Frogs. Jordan Williams brought him down after a gain of 18, and perhaps a chance here for TCU to tack on a field goal.
This will be a 30-second timeout.
Well, Kennedy Snell, his explosiveness is really a welcome addition to this TCU offense.
Now, Jonathan Song attempted or tried to attempt a 50-yarder earlier in the second quarter. The holder, Adam Nunez, dropped the snap. So he is still yet to attempt a field goal this season. We'll see what Gary Patterson elects to do. The ball's placed at the 38, so right now a 55-yard field goal attempt. And instead he's going to try to toss one into the end zone.
Yeah, I was going to say, in terms of kicking it, I don't think that's going to happen. I think you run too much of a risk, but throwing something into the end zone, give yourself a chance. You never know what can happen. You got some speedsters and some guys that can go up and get it.
Load it up at the bottom of your screen. He'll dance it around, floats it towards the end zone, and a pass is caught for the touchdown. Jalen Reagor snuck in there, all 5'11" of them, and as time expires, TCU cashes in on the Hail Mary.
Well, Jalen Reagor might be 5'11", but I'm guessing he has about a 40-inch vertical because he out-jumped every guy that was in and around that pile. Kenny Hill does a nice job. He slides left and launches one and puts it right in the middle of the end zone. And you just see Reagor go up. He goes up to the ball at its highest point amongst all the defenders and comes down with 6 points.
What a play by the Horned Frogs offense, and momentum changes hands once again right before the break. Stay tuned for the studio halftime report. Chris Cotter, Jonathan Vilma, Chip Kelly will get you caught up to speed on everything going on in the world of college football. TCU will have the option to receive the second half kick, and the Horned Frogs battling back from 38 yards out. The prayer is answered. Halftime report coming up after this break. All right, back here in Fort Worth, quarterbacks have been the story. Both signal callers over 200 yards passing in a very exciting first half. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott back at the Carter campus of TCU on a beautiful day for football. Temperatures soaring down to the upper 90s. We'll see if that becomes a factor as TCU set to receive this third quarter kick.
And two big things here, Roy. One, Jalen Rager's catch of a really kind of a Hail Mary at the end of the first half. Kenny Hill to Rager. That was Kenny Hill's third touchdown of the game. And they won the coin toss and deferred, so they get the ball this half.
Short kick fielded in the 20, inside the 20 rather, and brought back by Sean Nixon to the 26. Now we take a look at Allstate's all hands in. Our big play from the first half, and it is in. The Hail Mary as Jalen Rager brought it in between a trio of SMU defenders, and honestly, that was probably a lot easier than what we first thought.
It's remarkable. Jalen Rager he's really the only player in that whole stack of players that jumped for the ball. And he high points it, but he didn't even need to. I mean, it was a great throw, well executed, and the last play of the half, that's what you do. You hope you get some little sneaky 6 points, and they sure did.
Cole Hunt, Darius Anderson in the TCU backfield. And number 6 in white straight ahead into a pile for a short pickup. Now, Kenny Hill in that first half, Tom, delivered passes to 8 different receivers, so he's really spreading the wealth with all of these speedy targets.
Well, and coming into this game, they had, out of the 44 catches of receivers coming into today's game, they had distributed the ball to 17 different receivers. So Kenny Hill, I think he's playing really well, showing great patience, great leadership as well, and he's seeing the field well.
As an open target, pass is caught. Should be good enough to move the chains as Rager brought in the quit slant. Eric Sutton in coverage.
And one thing, Roy, you and I talked about before the game, Kenny Hill, you want to preserve his health. He's a great runner. You just don't want to run him too much in this offense early in the season.
Jalen Austin made the catch. I would agree with that, especially with the Big 12 opener next week up in Stillwater against the Cowboys. Big victory today on the road for Oklahoma State at Pitt. Anderson will dance his way for a couple of yards. And you wonder, too, now, can TCU capitalize on the momentum we saw gained at the end of the first half with that big play? SMU trying to get the football back for its defense. And Gary Patterson, he said it this week, I'm not good as a front runner. I've got to be the underdog. You wonder if his team takes on that mentality in our final 2 quarters.
Well, and Gary Patterson is such a good game coach. He knows what the clock is doing. He knows his offense can bleed the clock a little bit in this second half, and then hopefully they put together some long drives. They had a great 80-yard drive a week ago at Arkansas, and I thought that was really an impressive drive for the Horned Frogs.
Sean Nixon with a catch into SMU territory at the 49-yard line. That's a gain of 11.
Sean Nixon might have come into the season as the number 3 or number 4 wideout on this team. He's going to kind of subtly become like the number 1 guy for Kenny Hill because his routes are smooth and he's shown great hands today.
Hill with time, fires a strike, it's caught. Desmond White into the red zone goes TCU. And a big pickup on first down. Horned Frogs are in business. That's a gain of 29.
Well, Kenny Hill can throw it with the best of them, and he waits on Desmond White to kind of come open down right along the numbers and between the numbers and the hash, and boy, just a big-time throw right there, right just on a line.
Hill perfect on this drive, trying for 4 for 4 to the end zone, and it's nearly picked off. Jordan Wyatt, the best cover corner for SMU. Got his mitts on it. Probably should have had the pick, Tom.
And going for John Diar's. Diar's, of course, had a big game against SMU a year ago. 6 receptions, 139 yards. The ball was late here, and that's why Jordan Wyatt was able to make the play. Almost stole an interception there at the goal line.
7th play of the drive from the 20. He'll fling it out to Turpin. Needs to make a man miss. He does. The cutback. Turpin inside the 5. Finally brought down by Onu, but not before. It'll be 1st and goal for the Horned Frogs.
You got to like the play. Again, just a quick, just rip it out to Turpin. Turpin gets a nice block by number 1, Emmanuel Porter. And then he just does that little bit after catch. Just gets those crucial yards inside the 10-yard line down to the 5.
First charged. Timeout. SMU.
So the Mustangs, with 2 timeouts remaining, we'll keep it right here. Under 12 to play in the 3rd. Well, SMU, I thought, did a nice job early in this game of limiting TCU close to the red zone. This becomes a very pivotal point in this contest. Horned Frogs with a chance to go up a couple of scores.
Yeah, and TCU has been really good inside the red zone this year. I think, both offense and defense. Their offense, though, just right there, they had such good momentum coming into that drive.
Davis checks in. Sonny Cumbie, the offensive play caller for the Horned Frogs, trying to dial something up. He'll use the Wildcat. Lanalua will check back in. Big 33, the hammer, will push the pile and pick up a couple. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 2.
Well, there's Lanalua using that big body, lean into that line of scrimmage, and you can also burn some clock here too. They're not in a hurry to score, Roy, so they'll just line up and do it again.
Lanalua bottled up. He'll lose a yard. Remember, there's a 56-pound difference between the average weight of the offensive line for TCU and SMU's defensive front, and that time Kyron Mitchell, the initial hit, it'll bring up 3rd down and goal.
Well, and he might have gotten over that time, but it was a bad snap, and Lanalua wanted to go right. The snap was low left on his left foot, and it really caused a problem just to get out of the gate.
And what do you dial up here if you're Sonny Cumbie? Facing 3rd and goal. Darius Anderson will check back in. 33 and wide out.
Well, last year against Arkansas, they just handed the ball to Darius Anderson. They may take a timeout here and talk about it.
First charge, timeout. TCU.
Now we asked Coach Cumbie this week, if you had to describe Gary Patterson in one word, what would it be? He said intense. When we take you back in time, it was just a year ago. SMU only trailed TCU by 3 points at halftime. Over on the Hilltop, it was 6-3 before the Horned Frogs got going in the second half. It's a quick strike. DR's, Tom, as you referenced, a career night for him. Blew the game wide open. A couple of big throws from Kenny Hill late. Threw for over 450 yards in that matchup. And TCU rolled on to the 33-3 win. So SMU's been here before, but they've been unable to close the deal.
Yeah, it was a big night for Kenny Hill a year ago, passing for 452 yards. I think here, again, maybe it's a little RPO. Kenny Hill's so good at it. He has 3 touchdowns so far today.
Anderson in the backfield. Also Cole Hunt, the tight end, at 6'7", 255. And a handoff. Anderson with daylight. And the 6 points. No, Kyron Mitchell had a chance maybe to bring him down close to the line of scrimmage. Credit Anderson, a nifty move.
Yeah, it's really a nice drive that time by TCU and offensive coordinator Sonny Cumbie. Kenny Hill had some nice throws during the drive, and then to finish it off with Darius Anderson over for the score. Really, really good play calling that time. Use of the clock. Even though they had to burn a timeout, I thought it was a good drive by TCU.
10-play drive reaches the end zone to begin our second half. And the fourth straight possession for the Horned Frogs, ending in a touchdown. Largest lead of the afternoon. Darius Anderson, another score, and TCU in front. Back here in Fort Worth, 35-22. TCU out in front of rival SMU. And the flyover shortly before kickoff at the end of the national anthem, well timed. And then the pilots of those planes honored in the end zone just moments ago. Well, 21 unanswered points on the board for the Horned Frogs. SMU will take over now from its own 25. And you go back to the first two quarters, Tom. Some trickery as Trey Quinn got involved, and also the flea flicker to set up the game's first score.
But nothing beats a good flyover other than some trickeration, because the trickeration kept SMU in it the first half. They had a flea flick. They have a double pass. It's kind of like looking at my playbook on Thanksgiving Day. I mean, this is some wildcat, quick shift motion. They get people in unusual positions, and I thought that was great, mixing it up early on against TCU.
Quick screen game brought down by Blacklock. That play goes absolutely nowhere. First catch of the night, or the afternoon rather, for Cortland Sutton. So obviously a priority to try to get big number 16 going in this second half. And amazingly, 22 points on the board. That's his first grab.
Well, in the graphic a moment ago, you know, when you see what you can do in the first two drives on third down, going two for two, and then you're 1 of 6. The remaining drives of that first half, they just have to be effective and get good yardage. As Chad Morris told us on Thursday, he said, we got to get good yardage on first and second down, give ourselves a chance on third down, and then you're not having to rely on Cortland Sutton the entire game.
Xavier Jones brought down by Wilson, and he'll stay on the field for this important third down.
I think it's important for SMU to pick up the pace too, run a little tempo this half.
Mustangs just 3 for 8 on third down so far, and they need 4. Under duress, fires it out, pass is caught. Xavier Jones slides out near the marker, and Nick Orr's going to keep him just short, I believe.
I thought they might get a better spot.
Well, they did, and they got the first down. And SMU wisely going with tempo as Jones dances for a couple. Flag on the field. And hands to the face coming up here.
Personal foul, hands to the face, defense, number 90. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Ross Blacklock, moments ago credited with a stop. Get the 15-yard penalty here, and that's a big one.
That is a big one. If you're TCU, you don't want to make the crucial mistake to give SMU any additional momentum. But if you're SMU, you'll gladly take that. But I think now it's where Ben Hicks at the controls for SMU can start to go up tempo, mix run and pass, and really you don't stray too far away from your original game plan.
Hicks with time and sails that one long. There's a flag on the field back where Hicks went down. Matt Boson came crashing down, and that's going to cost TCU another 15.
Personal foul, roughing the passer with targeting, defense, number 9, 15-yard penalty, timeout, the play's under further review.
Well, Tom, first time this year we've seen a targeting foul called, and now they'll go to the replay booth and take a second look.
Well, and it's crucial, the call, because they say personal foul with intent to target. And so that will get a player ejected if it comes back affirmative. And Bosen, sure enough, used the crown of his helmet and really got to Ben Hicks after he threw the ball. That's a pretty easy call if you're the ref.
6'4" senior out of California, Long Beach Community College. You're talking about targeting. You're looking at launching using the crown of the helmet. The crown of the helmet really encompasses the majority of the top towards the front.
Yeah, he's a kid right out of the South Bay, California, West High in Torrance.
A sloppy start for the TCU defense to begin this second half. We'll take another look.
Well, and Bosen is over next to Coach P on the sideline. He gets to stand next to Coach Patterson. I don't know what's worse, getting the penalty or having to go stand next to Coach Patterson.
Well, they call him Coach P on the field, and Tommy goes by Gary away from the playing surface. It's almost like he has two personalities, and right now, to no one's surprise, he's Coach P, and Bosen's getting an earful.
Well, and watch Coach Patterson, with all due respect, he's just saying, listen, don't be selfish, don't cost your team a flag. More importantly, when you get hit with the targeting call, if they confirm it, you're out for the remainder of this game.
Now, 3 penalties already in the second half against the Horned Frogs. 6 for the game. A replay official.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Number 9 has been disqualified from the contest.
And we would tend to agree with that assessment. Gary Brown out of the Big 12. Our referee, Todd LaPenta, from the American Athletic Conference. And number 9 will be escorted off the field here at the Carter.
So he's out for the remainder of this game, but he has to sit out the first half of next week's game.
The Big 12 opener.
The Big 12 opener at Stillwater. So it's a double whammy. It really is it's a brutal penalty if it happens to your own team, but it's the right call without a doubt.
And just like that, SMU knocking on the front door of the end zone again, looking for Sutton. He was open that time. It beaten Nick Orr. And Hicks, too strong. We'll like that one back.
Well, it's a game of inches, and it's a game of inches, Roy, and that ball just carried a little bit right there. Cortland Sutton with a nice little dip move that time. And Nick Orr just a bit, and Hicks able to get it deep, just a little too deep out of the range of Sutton.
Here's Braden West across the 30. Chad Morris and offensive play caller Joe Craddock staying patient with this ground game. It'll bring up 3rd down and long, however.
Isahaku there to make the tackle. I think it's great that they can stay with their original game plan and not get into the pass happy and start, throwing it all over the field, because if they start to throw it a lot, Gary Patterson's going to turn up the blitz, and they'll come off the edge even harder than they've been coming all game.
4 wide, West will join Hicks. Out of the gun, Hicks will step up and fires a pass, incomplete. He was on target, and it bounced out of the midst of Mitchell Kaufman, who had a big reception in the first half, and he probably should have had that one, Tom.
And they'll go for it here on 4th down, Roy. So far on 3rd downs, SMU 4 of 10 today. I think it's a good time to elect to go for it on 4th down here. The one component that Ben Hicks can't really provide this offense, it's using his legs to run for first downs, because the one thing that beats this TCU defense is a running quarterback. And if you can get out on the edge sometimes and have that threat.
SMU.
Another timeout by SMU. If you can run as a quarterback, you put so much pressure on a defense that's reliant on match coverage, essentially man-to-man. You have them running all over the field, and you can go scoot for 12 yards in a blink of an eye.
Just one timeout remaining now for the Mustangs. Chad Morris came to Dallas over at SMU from Clemson. He was the offensive coordinator. 4 seasons there under Dabo Swinney. Prior to that, he was the offensive coordinator at Tulsa before a very successful stop at Lake Travis High School here in Texas. It's a big game for Chad Morris if you think about it. He's already won 2 games this year. He's trying to slowly build this thing up. You upset a ranked team like TCU, your name goes on the radar for a lot of different things. 4th down and 8, biggest play of the game. Hicks will buy some time off his back foot and out of bounds. Tried to spot Quinn and a late flag. Well, Lewis had contact. Question is the pass deemed catchable as it just floated out near the 15?
It was a little high. I think they're going to catch Lewis for face guarding.
The ball was deemed uncatchable. First down.
That's a great point, Roy. The ball, so one of the side judges there just said, even though he face guarded, the ball was uncatchable. When it goes 10 yards over someone's head, no one's going to catch it. Hicks got some pressure there as he planted that back foot. Sure enough, Quinn got knocked around, but Horned Frogs up 35-22.
The Allstate Saturday Kickoff is brought to you by Cabela's. Get to Cabela's for all your hunting, fishing, and camping needs. Cabela's, it's in your nature.
Well, the sun raining down here in Fort Worth. And TCU trying to hold serve at home. Gary Patterson hoisting that iron skillet, trying to keep it right here in Fort Worth. That's what's at stake today. This matchup between two rivals separated by just 35 miles. Confusion on the snap, and the Mustangs get it right back. Nick Horton with a fumble recovery. He'll dance back to the sidelines, and SMU with new life.
Well, at break, I said, well, if they get a turnover here, and sure enough, the man that was in motion, the ball hits him on the snap.
Now, one of the few things that Snell has done wrong today, Tom.
Yeah.
Please reset the game.
Actually, that was
7
Rager.
minutes and 52 seconds.
Rager, the ball. Rager was in motion. The ball clipped him on the hip. And then Horton with the recovery. That's a big play by SMU. And now, if you get a quick 6 points, you're putting the pressure and you have the momentum right back in your favor.
Third turnover for the Horned Frogs. Cortland Sutton matched up man-to-man, bottom of your screen. And on the zone read, the handoff goes nowhere. Freeman will lose two.
Well, and it's a disguised man-to-man because they still have a safety over the top, and they're trying to bait Ben Hicks to throw it to Cortland Sutton. But he's got two guys in his area code for sure.
Halfway through the third quarter.
There's the look at the defenders over the top.
Hicks with time, floats it downfield looking for Kaufman. And nobody home. Now the Mustangs getting away from their tempo, and TCU's defense has been one of the emerging stories here in the last quarter and a half.
Well, and Hicks, it needs to be more accurate right now down the stretch, particularly as we get deeper into the third quarter here, Roy. So far today, 12 of 25, 214, one touchdown, but he's missed his last several balls, and you got to be pinpoint here.
Looking down the field, slings it incomplete. Quinn was covered up. They tried the back shoulder toss. Nothing doing.
Yeah, Quinn has been very effective at keeping defenders leveraged, meaning he'll run with them, but then he'll push off subtly to go after that back shoulder throw, and Hicks really not close that time.
Well, 5 straight incompletions for Ben Hicks, and Gary Patterson's defense holding on.
Yeah, Gary Patterson's defense so good right there, really stepping up to the challenge and not allowing even a yard that time. In fact, knocking SMU back.
42-yard attempt from Williams, and he shanked it left. Williams missed an extra point in the first quarter. Drilled a couple of field goals since. That one will cost SMU some decent field position. And after the turnover, a big stop for the Horned Frogs.
Big hold that time for TCU's defense. Credit Gary Patterson, his game plan, and great execution.
Williams missing that 42-yard field goal just moments ago. TCU takes over. And a handoff to Anderson straight ahead. You kind of feel momentum on the side now firmly. The Horned Frogs. Big 12 opener coming up next week at Oklahoma State after the Cowboys secured a big win earlier today at Pittsburgh. And tell you what, it's been feast or famine. No punts. A lot of touchdowns. 21 unanswered on the board.
Well, the 3 turnovers never goes over well, especially the following day during the film session. But they have gotten some good drives, some good productivity. I think Kenny Hill's done a great job keeping the ball away from defenders and making some timely throws.
Hill will double clutch that pass and deliver a strike to Turbin. Cavante Turbin, another big reception.
And that play is a great, that's a great example of Kenny Hill going through a progression, not getting over anxious, not having to fire the ball downfield in tight coverage. He comes off to an outlet guy, Turpin, who's able to just get a couple yards, get enough for the first down. They keep moving the chains.
Well, Hill, a lot of people remember the incredible start he had at Texas A&M, shellacking South Carolina on the road to open the 2014 season. Be brought down for a loss here as the SMU defense, led by Tyson Niels, will record a sack. But 3 games in to his career at Texas A&M, the wheels kind of came off. And the question is now, how will he battle back facing adversity? And really, Tom, outside of this play, the sack, he's done it quite well today. No interceptions. Led the Big 12 in that category a year ago. And you get the sense he's comfortable in his own shoes. He admitted, too, at his time at Texas A&M, he wasn't mature enough to handle the early success that he had in Columbia against the Gamecocks.
That's a great point. You wonder what Kevin Sumlin would do with Kenny Hill today.
And we saw the Aggies last week. Desmond White couldn't corral it. Now 3rd down and long coming up for TCU.
Well, and Kevin Sumlin, he had trouble keeping any quarterback, but when Kenny Hill left, I was like, oh, man, that's, and he's going to TCU. So I know Tech wanted him as well, but Kenny Hill, I think when you look at the maturity, when a guy comes into this game throwing over 72%, give the credit to the offensive coordinator too, Sonny Cumbie, himself a former Texas Tech quarterback, and set a couple records down there himself.
Frogs need 16. Pocket collapses. Hill looking downfield, and he's corralled and sent to the turf by Anthony Roan, a senior from Texarkana. Biggest play of the day so far for this SMU defense.
Nice play by Anthony Roan, the middle linebacker, really staying at home and not being fooled, putting the spy on Kenny Hill. So he just was responsible. If Kenny Hill breaks pocket, Roan's there to make the play. Nice job by him. So they have to punt it for the first time today.
Adam Nunez, the TCU punter. And the sophomore from Houston nearly had it blocked. They'll turn it over. And the wobbler fielded by Quinn at the 30. 39-yard punt. SMU football when we come back.
Welcome back to the All-State Saturday Kickoff.
Back in beautiful Fort Worth, Texas. The American versus the Big 12 this afternoon, and TCU out of the Big 12. A 13-point advantage. SMU football after the punt. And with the grab is Braden West. About a 4-yard pickup on first down. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott back and forth. We went early before TCU has recorded 21 unanswered to seize control for the time being.
Yeah, the momentum really shifting, and especially right before halftime, Kenny Hill throwing a Hail Mary caught by their receiver, Jalen Rager. That really gave TCU the momentum, and they've just hung on to it.
Empty backfield for Ben Hicks. Across the middle, Quinn's got it. And that should be enough to move the chains.
Ben Hicks is laying back just a little bit, throwing off his back foot. I'd like to see him really kind of just step into it and start ripping it. You're going to see TCU at times. They're rushing 4 right now. They got their 4 big uns in.
Braden West will negotiate for about 3.
So you know what you're going to get. You're getting double coverage to your big home run hitter, Cortland Sutton, the big wideout. And you have to run Trey Quinn, number 18, run him on some option routes underneath. They had success, too, in the first half running either option or crossing routes. And I think we haven't heard a lot from James Porcher. I don't even know if he has a catch. He has one catch for 13 yards today.
Empty backfield on second down. Hicks facing pressure. Had to throw it early. Sutton was in the area, and Banagoo got to him in a hurry that time.
So that time, they've loaded the box, brought extra people, and played zero coverage behind it without a free safety. So TCU dialing it up a little bit, bringing extra guys around the ball. Banagoo on the edge coming. And then, of course, Trayvon Howard as well. Banagoo coming free, getting a hit on Hicks.
Ponies need a play here. Offense has been stagnant in this second half.
Yeah, they just haven't been good on third down.
West motions out. Hicks with a pocket. Floats it across the middle, and it's brought in, and there he is, Prochet, right on cue.
Well, Prochet's a playmaker for them. And talking to Chad Morris and the offensive coordinator, Joe Craddock, this week prior to the game, here's a guy that has been real effective, especially in third downs, and he comes up with a big one there.
After a gain of 19 yards, Braden West straight ahead, brought down by Montrell Wilson. SMU staying patient with this ground game, and maybe the one knock on Chad Morris in his tenure at Clemson is that he got away from the rushing attack too early. And here at SMU, he has not done that. Montrell Wilson, the hurt Horned Frog. A very important possession for the Mustangs, trying to climb their way back in it. Wilson will walk off under his own power. We talked with Chad Morris about his time at Clemson. He recruited Deshaun Watson there. And a reminder, Sunday NFL Countdown headed your way. 10 o'clock Eastern tomorrow morning. Rex Ryan, Charles Woodson, Matt Hasselbeck, plus brand new host Samantha Ponder. They'll have all the early breaking stories, injury updates, streaming live on the ESPN app. Make sure you are tuned in. Ponder does a lot of walking around that studio. She's all over the place, and she's doing a great job. Weston Freeman now in the backfield after the injury timeout. And Freeman gets the call with a running lane. Freeman off to the races, and he's going to score a touchdown. The Mustangs right back in it, and what an afternoon for Kamen Freeman, a sophomore from Texarkana. That's a 34-yard touchdown run.
Well,
outstanding speed.
It's a great finish to a nice drive, and the guys out front, Nick Nator, the left guard, had a great block. Evan Brown, the center, really getting it done. Chad Pursley, the left tackle, they really excelled that time, and they got their running back into the end zone. Freeman making a really nice run.
And don't go anywhere just yet. Extra point is true. And the Mustangs trail it only by 6, and with the offense to finish the job here in Fort Worth. One more look.
Yeah, they just get great push at the line of scrimmage, and Will Hopkins, number 60, he's your man, and Nick Nator, the guard, and they just do a great job locking people up. Nice play call. And Roy, I think more importantly, finishing that drive the way they did, you're right. It is a one-score game. It becomes a really important set of downs now for TCU, but yeah, don't go away on this one. Stay close.
69 yards in 7 plays as we take a look at this historic rivalry matchup brought to you by Wendy's. The battle for the Iron Skillet. First game was played back in 1915. They started the Iron Skillet tradition in the post-World War II college football boom. It was absent for a couple of years, and in 1993 they brought it back. TCU's dominated this decade, 5 straight wins, but tell you what, that is in jeopardy today. And on the ensuing kickoff, the hammer brings it back to the 40. Olanalua with a return of 25 yards. Now the game of the century also played here in Fort Worth. Slinging Sammy Baugh, the quarterback, SMU in the dark jerseys. November 30th of that year, completing the comeback win in front of 37,000 fans. Mustangs found a way to get it done. And Tom, it was billed at the time as the game of the century, a 6-point win for the Mustangs. In a very important game for college football at Fort Worth Stadium. The nation's finest college sport, as told by Grantland Rice. Good stuff from back in the day. Hill, as we return to live action, completes it to Cole Hunt.
Well, and Slinging Sammy Baugh, one of the all-time great players. We were in the TCU Fieldhouse the other day, and it's such a nice tribute to Sammy Baugh, the one end zone wall. Just, it really brings back, the historical side of TCU football. They've been around a long time.
Quick catch by Nixon. He's brought down just as fast by Mitchell. And Tommy's going to lose two. Well, SMU's defense needs to make a stand here to get their offensive football back.
Well, again, this drive becomes really important, right? You got to get something positive. Otherwise, you turn the ball back over to SMU, and Chad Morris has it dialed in right now.
So does Van Malone. His defense, 8 tackles for loss so far today. Less than a minute to go in the third. Off the zone read. Anderson straight ahead. There's already been one upset by a team from the American Conference today. Memphis took care of UCLA at home. So the group of 5 sneaking up on the Power 5, and the Mustangs trying to do that here as well.
Well, and here's what Chad Morris said to us yesterday. He just said, listen, we're good. We're going to keep it close, and if we're real close coming into the fourth quarter, we got a great chance to win this game.
That'll be the final play of the third. Now we started at 28-22 in the second half. 35-29, fourth quarter here in Fort Worth. Coming up next. $35-29 our score. Final 15 minutes coming up with Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott. It's great to have you with us. Third and long coming up for the Horned Frogs. First time these two teams have matched up undefeated. SMU trying to improve to 3-0 for the first time since 1984.
TCU 6 of 8 on third down today. They're doing good.
Hill with time. Rifles a shot to Alana Lua. Needed to get down to the 39-yard line. I don't think he got there.
Nope, I think he's going to come up just short, even though he had a great effort. Even after the catch, he got hit, and then he kept fighting for any additional yardage, and he almost was able to lunge forward, but he's just going to be just short.
And on fourth down, Gary Patterson, Sonny Cumbie will roll the dice as Darius Anderson checks back in. A big one to start the fourth quarter. Anderson straight ahead and a physical run. He kept the legs churning. That'll move the chains.
Nice job by Anderson. He really got the tough yard when he needed it, and that is a big first down. That was a big gamble, Roy, considering SMU caught some wind in their sails here at the end of the third quarter. It got the nice touchdown run by Freeman, and it's made it a one-score game. This drive, again, Gary Patterson really concerned, has to get points out of this drive.
Last year, SMU lost 33-3. It was a 3-point game at halftime. 2 years ago, the Mustangs challenged TCU on this very same field, had a chance to go ahead a little over halfway through the fourth quarter. There's been some tight ones, and there goes Anderson. He will not be caught. And the easiest run of the afternoon results in 6 points from 38 yards out for number 6.
Really nice play that time. Nice blocking. And again, the center, Patrick Morris, has had himself a really good game, and he's making the calls at the line of scrimmage. They get a nice kick out by the left tackle, and credit Darius Anderson hitting the hole well and scoring for TCU.
Song's extra point is good. And our new score with 13:27 remaining. Horned Frogs back out in front by 13. Darius Anderson, 11 carries, 73 yards, and 2 touchdowns to boot here in Fort Worth. For number 20 TCU, trying to stay undefeated before next weekend's Big 12 opener at Oklahoma State. Cowboys remain undefeated as well after a big win at Pittsburgh earlier today. Trey Quinn retreats inside his 5. And lasso from behind, short of the 15-yard line. Just a return of 11 yards, and SMU starts with poor field position, Tom.
Well, SMU has gotten behind a little bit here just on the momentum swing that TCU put into being that last drive. They really, going forward on 4th down around the 40-yard line is dicey, because had they not gotten it, you give Chad Morris and that SMU offense the ball in great field position, but they converted, and they got the score by Anderson, so now Ben Hicks starts deep in his own end, and he's got to put together 2 good drives.
Worst starting field position of the afternoon for SMU. Hicks down the field for Sutton. Some contact early. He was double covered, and no penalty flag.
And Sutton, they've targeted him now several times in the second half. He just really hasn't. He's seen 1 ball, 1 catch for 0 yards. So, and he came in one of the top receivers in the country. Still is. It's not as, but they've done a great job playing 2 guys on him. They've really kind of played a guy over his nose, and then they've had a safety over the top of him the entire day. So he has drawn a lot of attention, and it's been good for the other receivers, of course, for SMU.
That's good enough for a first down, a gain of 15 yards. Squirting through the hole was Xavier Jones, finally brought down by Banagoo. The patience with the ground game has paid off so far for the Mustangs.
Xavier Jones had a nice game a week ago against North Texas.
Well, Jones scored 10 touchdowns back in 2015. He was redshirted last year after a shoulder injury. And he's battled back to become a force for this Mustangs team.
Yeah, last week against North Texas, 13 carries, 74 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he's just one more guy they can rotate in there. Take a look at his year by year.
Sutton in motion. Hicks will buy some time, and he'll fling it for his tight end. It's incomplete. Epps, I believe it hit him right in the numbers. Was under duress from behind.
Well, the true freshman defensive tackle, number 94, Corey Bethley, had a sack last week against Arkansas. They're able to rotate 2 lines of defensive linemen, and that's big Power 5 football, when you can rotate 2 defensive lines, keep guys healthy, and they keep pestering the quarterback.
Big one coming up, 3rd down, 8 to go.
Yeah, they'll rush 3 and drop 8 here, put a little pressure on Ben Hicks.
Sutton sets up in the slot. Hicks looking his direction. And the tunnel screen to Trey Quinn goes nowhere. Montrell Wilson now back on the field, and Joseph Broadnax combined to make the hit.
Again, it's a flexibility that TCU defense, Roy. It has so many parts, and Gary Patterson does such a great job with game planning and game calling. He's so anticipatory to what SMU and opponents are doing. Love the guy's intensity. I mean, he is one fired up dude.
We watched his walkthrough yesterday. Offenses and defenses have separate walkthroughs on Fridays. And you could hear a pin drop inside the TCU indoor practice facility because he's so dialed in, just like his team.
The Allstate Saturday Kickoff is presented by Allstate, official protector of college football fans, and in part by Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here.
And the Bleacher Creatures leading the charge out in front of the TCU football program shortly before kickoff earlier today. Good win here in the Metroplex, 42-29. SMU hanging around against undefeated Texas Christian. Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, TCU football, under 12 to play. It's been a very entertaining matchup between the Big 12 and the American. Memphis already pulling a shocker against a Power 5 program earlier out of the AAC. Olanalua near side, keeps the play alive and pushes his way up to the 40. As we take a look back with our Buick Drive recap, in the last TCU possession, it came down to 4th and short near midfield. Gary Patterson elected to go for it, Tom. He came up goal before Darius Anderson finished the job, the 38-yard burst.
Yeah, there's
for a touchdown.
4th down play to Darius Anderson, and then, of course, he springs for the score, too. And they recapture that momentum, and that was a nice finish to a nice drive.
Well, you wonder if they're going to try to keep it on the ground. Olanalua off to the races. Inside the 30-yard line. Another first down for TCU after a pickup of 33 by number 33.
Well, we talked about both staffs, right? Really good coaches on either side, and Chad Morris is going to be, he's going to get a lot of pressure to leave after this year. He's really rebuilt this SMU program, but he's a Power 5 coach. But then you look across the way, Gary Patterson, the way he's built this team, it can compete, not only survive, but it can compete in the Big 12. And right now, the Big 12, with Oklahoma going in and knocking around Ohio State last week, and Baker Mayfield planting the flag at midfield, I think the Big 12 is a conference to be reckoned with.
It was a little much for my taste. He apologized for doing that later, but it was a huge statement for the conference. To see what Oklahoma State did at Pittsburgh today, Cowboys certainly are going to be a factor. And again, nobody's talking about Coach P and these TCU Horned Frogs. We'll find out a lot next week in Stillwater, and of course they've got to take care of business the final 9+ minutes today.
You know how I love quotes. This morning, Des Howard on game day might have had the best quote. He said, "Baker, you can't put the toothpaste back into the tube. Once it comes out, you might as well not even apologize." I thought the apology was kind of weak myself. I liked the flag planting. I did like that. I like the emotion of a moment. And, of course, if you're an Ohio State fan, you're not going to like it. If you're an Oklahoma fan, you're going to love it.
Well, Oklahoma has a way of doing that in critical moments in the season and then not being able to back it up. We'll see if Baker Mayfield now as a senior can do that.
Well, Lincoln Riley called him into the office and said, "Hey, Baker, we might play these guys again."
That's right.
You know that.
That's right. Buckeyes have their own problems to worry about. A lot of talk about J.T. Barrett taking a back seat. Nobody can touch Darius Anderson, his 3rd score of the afternoon. And the TCU ground game on point in the second half.
Well, I think that's important to note, because when you say
5 men in the backfield, offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Oh, they're going to call it back. No touchdown. Late flag. They didn't have enough men on the line of scrimmage, Roy.
Our veteran officiating crew snuck that one in on us. Our referee today, Todd LaPenta. That's a big call in that sequence. You get the sense maybe one more scored by the Horned Frogs can push this one totally out of reach.
Yeah, and I think that dominant ground game and especially the force of that offensive line, you said.
25 play clock.
Yeah, they just have, I don't believe they had enough on the line of scrimmage. And that was the flag.
Now, 56-pound difference between the TCU offensive line and the SMU defensive front. That has helped pave the way for Anderson, Olanalua, and Kyle Hicks to go off today. This time Hill with time. Flings it across the middle, and there is Turpin for an easy pitch and catch for 6. Now, Cavante Turpin is back and better than ever before. Missed about half of last season. And what a weapon he could be for Coach Gary Patterson and this TCU bunch this year.
Well, that's Kenny Hill's 4th touchdown of the day. I just think the balance, Roy, between run and pass, when you look at what TCU's done today, 222 yards on the ground, 359 through the air, and when you can ring up 48 points, soon to be 49, you're putting a lot of pressure on a lot of teams in America.
There's a look at the Iron Skillet. It's been with TCU since 2011, and the Horned Frogs in position once again today.
Skillet, they get the skillet again.
Turpin with 6 catches, just over 80 yards, and that last touchdown for the Horned Frogs, and Kenny Hill is rolling on this beautiful Saturday afternoon in Fort Worth. Eastern on ESPN, the first big test for number 12 LSU and Mississippi State. Live from Stark Vegas. You can catch this one streaming live on the ESPN app in about 30 minutes. A battle in the SEC West. Nick Fitzgerald, one of the more underrated quarterbacks in college football, back now to live action here at the Carter with Tom Ramsey, Roy Philpott, Kevin Johnson with a running lane. And he'll dance his way across the 35, a late flag. And we'll check the penalty. Now, 7 different players have scored for TCU today.
Holding, receiving team, number 6. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Todd LaPinta with the call. They'll back him up after the decent return. And now SMU trailing by 20. He's got to find a way to put points on the board. Well, All-State is proud to be a part of the team that comes together to do good by contributing to participating universities' general scholarship funds. That'll happen for each field goal and extra point kick. And today, All-State has contributed millions in scholarship funds. All right, you got any 20-point plays in the playbook?
I don't think anyone has those. You have to have a lot of things happen and go your way in a short period of time, but you have to score quickly if you're SMU for any hope to be involved in this game for the last 8+ minutes. You need those miracle plays once in a while. And without Cortland Sutton, who only has 1 catch today, and that is below his career low, it just shows me that TCU's done a great job identifying him and taking him away as any weapon.
Prochet in motion, Hicks with time, loops it downfield, and the back shoulder toss will be incomplete. This could be offensive pass interference. No, Sutton's got to be frustrated, the kinds of numbers he put up a week ago.
Offense, number 16. After the goal, second down.
Tommy caught 4 touchdown passes, and SMU record was dominant in every sense of the word. And today, as you indicated, right now a career low single game receptions.
Yep, and you see he has his man beat. Tejada turns, and instead of just letting Tejada run by, he grabs Tejada's jersey and kind of throws him by him. There's not a need to do that. He's such a good player, but I blame that more on the pass coming his way. It just, Ben Hicks didn't get enough air underneath it. If you got a big target like that, lay it out there, man. Lay it out. Throw it out. Let him go up for it because he'll out-jump people for sure.
5 wide for Hicks. And the pass is picked off. It's going to be intercepted. Traven Howard to the end zone for the pick 6. 2 flags make it 3 on the field. That's a 20-yard return. We'll check the penalty, but what a play by the all Big 12 performer. Was 6th in the country in tackles a year ago. And a heck of an athlete.
Well, he's a spectacular player, Traven Howard. He made a really nice catch. Just pulling down the interception. We'll wait to hear what the flag is.
The play stands. It'll be the first turnover of the afternoon for SMU. The timing of the penalty critical as well. Did it occur after the turnover or after the touchdown?
No telling with this crew.
After the play, personal foul, offense number 91. That 15-yard, defense number 91, the penalty forced on the kickoff.
L.J. Collier for TCU. Well, the touchdown will stand. And a lot of people interested in this play as the TCU Horned Frogs.
Trayvon Howard, the linebacker, he's in drop coverage there, and he just makes a play on the ball. I mean, he really just played the ball. He had leverage on the man, and then he's able. The ball's not well thrown again. Ben Hicks didn't have a good series there, but Howard with a nice grab and go, get another 6 points for TCU.
And there's a reason why they have all those big buildings out in the desert in Sin City. That one will make this a more convincing TCU lead. Approaching the halfway point of the fourth quarter. And we'll see what happens moving forward for Gary Patterson's team. 56-29 our score. The pick six from Trayvon Howard. .7:43 remaining here in Fort Worth, Texas. Sportsmanlike conduct penalty will back TCU up to its own 20-yard line. Horned Frogs with a commanding lead after trailing by as many as 12 points in this one. Johnson will field it inside his 20. And upended crossing the 35. 1st and 10 for SMU. That's an 18-yard return. You wonder about SMU moving forward in the American Athletic Conference. And certainly it's a close game. At the end of the third quarter, TCU is going to pull away, it looks like. They will be a force to be reckoned with, you got to think, moving forward. Chad Morris won 2 games in year 1, 5 last year. Already 2 on the scoreboard this season, and they'll be favored in some games coming up. But he's had to rebuild this thing from the very bottom, taking over one of the worst teams in college football more than 2 years ago as the swing pass goes out to Braden West. So he'll fight, and this program will fight for better days. And they gave TCU all it could handle for about 2.5 quarters this afternoon, Tom.
I think even, through the end of the third quarter, I thought they gave enough business. It was a one-score game there at the beginning of the fourth quarter. And, if TCU doesn't convert on 4th down and then score shortly after, Chad Morris and SMU is right in it. But I think it's remarkable the energy that Chad Morris has brought to SMU as that pass falls incomplete, going to Gilliard. And but it's the energy, it's the positivity, it's molding the young men to go on and be successful in life. And Chad Morris is a guy who you mentioned earlier, Roy. There's some people are already looking at him as a Power 5 coach elsewhere. He just signed a new deal. A new 7-year deal last year, but I think SMU is going to be hard-pressed to keep him.
Hicks floats it down the middle, and it's caught. Prochet. In a foot race, he'll win that one just about every time for a Mustangs touchdown from 61 yards out.
And that's a heck of a throw right there. Ben Hicks let it fly. He gave Prochet something to go after. He had enough air under it where Prochet used his speed, knifed through the defense, and made a great play on the ball. Hicks got it out early, too. He didn't hang on to it too long. Prochet had his man beat Howard. How about that? Howard's running right with him.
Trayvon Howard pulled off the pick six just moments ago. He gets burnt there by Prochet. The longest play of the afternoon for either side.
Well, and the story I loved yesterday by Chad Morris, how he recruited Deshaun Watson. When you hear the length of the recruiting cycle and what you have to do with not only just being a coach, but your family's involved. Heck, everyone's involved. But, to get arguably one of the very best players in college football lately was significant.
Morris went back to Dabo Swinney at the time and told him, I think I just found a quarterback better than Vince Young. And Dabo said, no, there's no way that can be true. And it turns out, well, I don't know if he was better than Vince Young, but he was right up there, claiming the national championship last year. And he torched Alabama's secondary in consecutive championship game appearances. And Morris proved to be correct. He was the first coach to offer Deshaun Watson as a high school quarterback from Gainesville. Now, Chad Morris also does a great job in keeping his program loose. I think it's something that shouldn't go lost this afternoon as well. They knew it was a big game, the battle for the Iron Skillet, and so this week, everybody on the staff dressed up like it was 1984. Polyester shorts were out. He just tried to loosen things up on the onside kick attempt. TCU recovers easily as Turpin came out of there with it. But it was just another gesture to demonstrate, hey, we got a big game. You play your game. We're going to have a chance to steal one on the road, and they nearly did.
Yeah, they did keep it loose. They did keep it loose. What was remarkable, I thought, in the notes, leading up to this game, Chad Morris, Clemson's, and you would know this, Roy, Clemson's national championship team from a year ago, I want to say Chad Morris had his hand in recruiting like 10 of the guys that were on the field for Clemson. So Dabo Swinney, as much as he misses a guy like Chad Morris, he's always happy to see him go on to greener pastures as long as he doesn't end up in the ACC, right? Then Dabo's like, okay, hey, you go have fun over there.
Delay game, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
I'll back Kenny Hill up about 5 yards. On the other side, you look at Texas Christian now, Big 12 opener on the road at Oklahoma State. A week from now, then they'll get a bye week. This team is going to be a lot to handle. 12 different pass catchers today. 6 different players have scored touchdowns. And then defensively, as we saw at Arkansas a week ago, this defense, when dialed in, can be about as physical as any unit in the country. Didn't happen in the first 2 quarters today, but since then they've kind of tightened the ship despite that last play.
Well, and I think they just have a great mix, and they have a very favorable schedule. I think it's good to have a home game. It's a non-conference game, although it's a rival because it's in your hometown, and you get out of this game, and then Gary Patterson already told us he's preparing for Oklahoma State, which I knew he was, and so they have those guys. They'll get after that first thing tomorrow morning.
Anderson sidesteps a defender, and that'll be a run good enough for a first down. 3 flags on the field after a pickup of 14.
A lot of flags. But I think catching the bye week after next week.
Legal walk in the back. Offense, number 4. 10-yard penalty, second down.
Isaiah Graham, the guilty party.
They'll get caught with a block in the back. But
you like the schedule.
I do.
You got 6 tough road games this year. That would be the only caveat. They already took care of business at Arkansas. But you're going to win the Big 12 this year at Oklahoma State, at K-State. It's a big game tonight against Vanderbilt right here on ESPNU. And at number 2, OU.
Here's the remarkable thing about that schedule when you look at it. They don't have to get on a flight. I think they just don't get on a lot of flights. That game was that game at home?
Yeah, West Virginia at home.
West Virginia
after
at home.
The bus ride to Oklahoma State.
Yeah, so Oklahoma State, they will actually bus to Oklahoma City, stay the night, and then bus again into Stillwater, and then fly home after the Oklahoma State game next week. But they just don't get on a lot of planes, and I think it benefits the players. They hop on a bus, they go. Although Gary did tell me the bus broke down today on the way to the game. I was like, oh, you're kidding? He goes, yeah, we had to let the offense in on the defensive bus. I'm like, okay.
He doesn't like that.
I also was just...
Play action to Turpin and a spin move. Close to the first down. It looks like he'll be marked about half a yard short. We'll check the spot.
I like that play. Just a nice little wrinkle with Turpin coming out of the backfield, a little waggle action. But I did joke with Gary Patterson before the game. I said, hey, you didn't get the white shirt memo. And he said, I usually don't. Either did Sonny Cumbie. He didn't get the white shirt memo either.
It was a whiteout here for this one. A lot of the fans have already made their way to the exits. 4th down coming up under 4.5 to play.
Yeah, well, credit TCU's coaching staff. They had a great plan, and we knew SMU had a good plan coming in because Chad Morris told us he had a good plan. And we didn't doubt it.
Game, offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Another look at Adam Nunez. He's on the
Please
field for the second time.
4 minutes and 12 seconds. 4 minutes and 12 seconds, please.
Gary Patterson admitted to us in his normal game week prep, does not get a lot of sleep until the very night before the matchup. And no doubt he's going to lose some time in the sack this week getting ready for Mason Rudolph and Oklahoma State and what that offense brings to the table. They got weapons everywhere, and they're big targets on the perimeter for the Cowboys. End over end kick. Will be ruled dead just outside the 10. Now don't forget later tonight, number 3 Clemson, number 14 Louisville. Lamar Jackson, the Heisman Trophy winner from a year ago. Matchup with the reigning national champions. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC and streaming live on the ESPN app. Tigers have yet to give up a touchdown this season. Lamar Jackson has scored about 75 himself. Does he have enough weapons? The Clemson defensive play caller Brent Venables can keep him in check for Louisville to finally beat the Tigers at home. I think that's something to watch tonight.
I think the interesting part and game plan for Brent Venables is to keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket, truly make him become a passer.
Hicks has that one picked off. They just threw that one up for grabs. Ranthony Tejada with the pick, his first of the season, for one of the top cover corners in the Big 12.
Yeah, Tejada really does match up well with a lot of the big receivers in the Big 12, and even though he's undersized, he makes a lot of plays. Ball just comes out a little late. Ben Hicks throwing into a lot of traffic there. I'm not sure exactly who the ball was going to. That's an ill-advised ball to throw, especially this late in the game and down in your own end. But I think Venables, if you make Lamar Jackson one-dimensional, it's hard to do. But you got to bring guys off the edge, but you also have to spy a guy. And I think Clemson's defense is able to do that, Roy, but your corner's got to be really good. They got to be able to run with guys. But I'm just not convinced Lamar Jackson. I know Bobby Petrino wants to make him a thrower. I'm just not convinced. I think at the next level, he's a great wide receiver in the NFL. That's me.
Wow.
Yeah, he's not a quarterback at the NFL level. Oh, no. No, I don't think I don't think he's made the progressions that you need to make. And, we will see. But I think this game is going to be a real eye-opening game for a lot of folks. I think Clemson's going to come out. I think they're going to come out on top for those reasons. I think the defense is really going to handle their business.
8 o'clock tonight over on ABC, the Tigers and the Cardinals. Alana Lua, another hammer. I think a lot of people would disagree with your assessment. He's added some bulk this year, and his down-the-field passing attempts last week against North Carolina, which they outclassed in Chapel Hill, and maybe late against Purdue in that season-opening win. I mean, there was some zest.
Wait, you just said something late against Purdue in an opening day win.
Touché.
So there's like 4 misnomers right there. I'm like, nah.
Alana Lewis straight ahead as we check in again with the studio and Chris Cotter. (20-17), the Gators in a very big matchup in the SEC East. Well, that game doesn't have quite the luster it did, let's say, 15 years ago, but still this year in that division, it could mean a lot.
Yeah, that's a big tilt game. It does mean a lot.
Near side run ushered out short of the 10-yard line. Don't forget our Week 2 Monday Night Football matchup. Matt Stafford and the Lions travel over to MetLife Stadium to take on Eli Manning, Odell Beckham Jr. and the Giants. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's 6 Eastern over on ESPN. And the game is also available on ESPN2 in Spanish. Monday Night Football back. Matthew Stafford making cash this year on that arm. He's from the Dallas area over there in Highland Park, where he played his college ball at Georgia. Dimbrick Gary, the injured Mustang, just past the 20-yard line, number 10 in red. Well, today ESPN is proud to support college football celebration of educators across the country through the Extra Yard for Teachers initiative created by the College Football Playoff Foundation. Extra Yard for Teachers, in conjunction with the College Football Playoff, great charities in this country. And Tom, certainly somebody along the way in your career probably made the kind of impact that you needed to take your skill set to the next level.
I did. I had some good teachers. I had a better coach though. Coach is, but I had one coach, John Haynes, Kennedy High School. Coach Haynes, great coach, great man. Served our country as well. He broke a couple clipboards over guys' heads.
Hopefully not yours.
Not mine.
Okay.
Not mine. No, just the knuckleheads. We did have a couple.
You're the star quarterback. There wasn't a lot of that going down. Under 2 minutes to play. And Kennedy Snell scored a couple of touchdowns. Snell could be a weapon. Well, not really a secret anymore after that 71-yard burst we saw, or 61-yard burst, I believe it was, in the second quarter. Just a freshman.
Well, Sonny Cumbie said that to us. He's got so many playmakers. They have different packages for different guys. Snell, obviously worthy of a nice run-pass package each week now. And then you have a guy like Turpin. You got Rager, who might have been play of the game today, right before half, making a huge catch on a Hail Mary that resulted in a touchdown. And then Kenny Hill just does a great job dispersing the ball around to different receivers. I think he's really on point and has been on point today.
A lot of credit to Sonny Cumbie as well. Over 600 yards of total offense today for TCU. And we were impressed talking with him. He's taken over those play calling duties basically in a solo fashion, and I think he's very comfortable with the hand he's been dealt. I think now the question entering conference play for TCU, can Kenny Hill continue to do what he's done so far this year? Manage the game, take the plays that are given to you. And when you face adversity, you know what? It's okay. Live to fight another down.
Yeah. And Sonny Cumbie used to share those coordinator duties with Doug Meacham, now the coordinator over at Kansas. And, Sonny Cumbie himself, a quarterback, he understands the mindset, and it's really the preparation and the lead up into the game, Roy, where quarterbacks win or lose games. If you walk into a game prepared, you're going to feel good, play well.
Now the final score today will be a little bit closer than the experts projected, 56-36. And the Mustangs will have one more crack at it. Chad Morris will try to build from this for Gary Patterson, survive and advance the next week in Stillwater. And what a test that will be against the Cowboys and Mason Rudolph, who may be right there with Lamar Jackson, two of the Heisman Trophy favorites this year. And a handoff for Hicks. That should just about do it.
Well, interesting, coming into today's game, that the top active 400-yard throwers in FBS, Luke Falk, 10 games at Washington State of 400 yards or more. Kenny Hill and Mason Rudolph, each with 5. Be interesting.
56-36, our final score. The Horned Frogs out of the Big 12 remain undefeated, improving to 3-0. SMU falls to 2-1. Gritty effort here inside the Carter, but the Iron Skillet remains in Fort Worth. For Tom Ramsey, I'm Roy Philpott saying good evening from Fort Worth, Texas. ESPN Goal Line coming up now.